Hello and welcome to Pints and Quarts, a show presented by Craft Beer Nation. Today is September 10th, 2015, and we have Knee Deep Brewing's brewmaster Dean Roberts joining us tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about where the brewery is right now and where they're going. So stick around, and while the intro music plays, this would be the perfect time for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Stitcher, iTunes for the podcast, and all of those other good things. So be sure to join us and stick around. All right. So again, like I said, we have the pleasure tonight of being joined by Dean from Knee Deep Brewing. Dean, how are things going for you guys over there in California?
Things are going good. We're
Going
uh, we're expanding and pretty busy.
awesome. Well, busy is always good, especially when you're in the beer industry, right? That means beer is flowing. So that's what you want to hear. So let's kind of get right into it, and let's talk a little bit about you first. How did you begin? How did your beer journey start, and how did you arrive at Knee Deep?
Well, I got into home brewing probably 2008. Um, my wife bought me a book for my birthday and read it, fell in love with it, started brewing, became obsessed with it. Um, was working construction at the time. Actually applied to the UC Davis Master Brewers program, got in, was on the waiting list. They called me in 2011 and said, you want to start in the 2012 session starting in January, let us know in 2 weeks. So I quit my job and did it,
Wow.
um, just because I fell in love with craft beer and just seemed like if I could do something that I love as my job, then I'll have a great life.
See,
So
you're lucky because I could see the ending to that story for me. Lola's homeless. Lola lives in a crate downtown. That's the ending for me, so you're very lucky.
yeah, well, my wife had to deal with a lot because I was actually living in Reno at the time. Um, so she was still there. We were trying to sell our house. Wasn't sure where we were going to go. Once I finished, ended up interning with Knee Deep while I was in the program. I was actually originally from the area, the Northern California area, so I was kind of already aware of Knee Deep. They were a little bit smaller. Interned with them. And before I finished, Jerry, our owner and CEO, called me and said, we're looking to hire somebody. When you're done with school, give us a call, we'll do an interview. And I called them, did an interview, and then when I was done with school, I had one other interview scheduled with Heineken, or I mean Lagunitas, sorry.
Zap. Zing.
But I had to keep putting, or they were kind of putting me off. We kept having scheduling problems with the interview, and finally I just said, well, I'm not going to interview with them. Went with Knee Deep. We were on a little 15-barrel brew system, two-vessel system in Lincoln, California, which is about 15 miles from Auburn, where we are now. It was in the brew pub that shut down and had been shut down for about 2 years. We were just leasing the brew system in the back and producing as much beer as we possibly could out of a little brew pub system. And they were already, when they hired me, planning to expand and to find their own equipment and everything. So I felt like it was a good opportunity, and it kind of worked out for me.
So how long is that program at UC Davis? Is that
Um, there's two different. There's a professional brewer certificate, which is 8 weeks, and then the master brewers program, which is about 5 months, 5.5 months. So I
okay?
started at the end of January, finished middle of June, and it's 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday. So it's
It's a
basically like
job.
it's a job, yeah.
Yeah.
But you get to study with Michael Lewis and Charlie Bamforth, who are
hmm
very knowledgeable guys, great people to study under.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
So you guys, you started out in a town that was 15 minutes away from Auburn, California, and you're currently in Auburn, California, which is right around the Sacramento area, right?
yes, we are northeast of Sacramento. right up Highway 80 in the foothills of California.
Okay. And how big was that system you said when you guys first started?
It was a 15 barrel system, and we had 15 barrel fermenters. So it was a system that was built just for a brew pub type thing, where
Hmm.
everything being sold or made at the on that system was supposed to be sold at the brew pub. So it was a very small system. We produced more beer there than they probably ever did while it was a brew pub
Hmm.
because of our production schedule there and how we
Yeah.
worked that system nonstop.
How big is your system now?
We have a 40 barrel system that we actually run 30 barrel batches on because we do a lot of high octane, high alcohol beers,
Hmm.
which have a very large grain bill. So we went with the oversized 40 barrel system so that we could fit everything into the mash and lauter. So we have 4 vessel mash mixer, lauter, kettle, whirlpool, with an option on that to add a second kettle if needed.
Okay. And what was your output in 2014?
2014, it was probably 8,000 barrels.
And
Uh,
I'm
and that
assuming
was
you're
it.
gonna go
Was
ahead. I'm
that?
sorry. Go
Oh,
ahead. Go
that's
ahead.
including both Lincoln and we had already been starting up in Auburn too. Um, I believe this year we should be more into the 12 to 15,000, and then hopefully next year, depending on when we get more tanks, um, probably between 15 and 20,000, and then just plans to just keep adding more tanks, expanding as fast as we can.
Imagine that. Look at you. You guys are growing. Huh. Look at that. So
Yeah,
now you said you guys on a 40 barrel system. You started out on a 15 barrel system. Your pilot says since you're the brewmaster, you're the man coming up with the recipes and everything now. So how big is your pilot system?
we actually don't have a pilot system now, but we most of our fermenters are 60, 90, and 120 barrels. We do have two 30 barrel fermenters and a 30 barrel bright to do single batches into for our one off experimental research and development type beers.
Okay.
So,
So you got anything crazy coming out or anything crazy in the R&D stage right now?
um,
Or is it proprietary information?
no, it's not. I mean, just more really hoppy, big IPAs because
Okay.
that's how we do it in Northern California on the West Coast. Um, Actually, I'm drinking a Imperial Belgian Stout or Belgian Imperial Stout. I don't know what the correct term is for it.
Tomato,
10,
tomato.
yeah, 10% stout. We made it with Belgian yeast. That's most of these beers that um, we put out just available in the local area and at the tap room. We are starting to expand into Oregon and Washington, and some of those might make their way up there, but most of them just stay local for now until we can
Yeah.
get more production going.
Making big hoppy beers. I mean, like you said, if you're going to be in Northern California with intentions of spreading into Oregon and Washington State, you are almost obligated to make big hoppy beers, right? I mean, that's the beer culture up there.
Yeah, it is. I mean, everybody loves it.
That's how you roll.
That's how we're going. Yeah, we have because we year round make three triple IPAs. I guess you can call them. They're all 11.1, 11.2, and 11.3%. I think our next experimental that I have scheduled for next month is another triple IPA that we're going to see what we can do. Hopefully, use some of the hops that are freshly picked and pelletized and brought down. So see how that goes.
So, so where all do you guys distribute? How many states are you in right now?
I believe we're in 15 states, but the states that we really ship a lot to: California, um, Oregon, just getting into Washington, um, might get into Idaho too. Just depends. we were in Arizona. Where our lead brewer and our sales manager are down in Arizona right now doing a big push because we switched distributors, I think, and we're doing a big push to start distributing more to Arizona now. We're in New York. I believe we're in Hawaii. I think we're in Ohio. We're in North Carolina. And I think we actually might be shipping some beer to Canada and Thailand soon.
Oh,
Thailand, where does that come from?
I don't know, but we have to put it in these weird plastic kegs,
Pub
little
kegs.
5 gallon, yeah, pub kegs
Yeah.
to make it over there, which is kind of funny seeing those in the
look at you
brewery.
going international without selling yourselves. Anyway, Ashley,
Yeah,
That's
that
weird.
happens.
Ashley,
Yeah.
you had a question?
Yeah, so I'm just south of the distribution there in North Carolina in the great state of South Carolina, and I've been able to pick up a couple things up in Raleigh. Um, a lot of my favorite hops you guys use, Simcoe, Citra, Mosaic. But have you experimented with any of these new hops that, well, they don't even actually have names in some cases?
We haven't experimented with any. Um, I'm actually going to Yakima Sunday and coming back Thursday for hop selection,
I'm
where
jealous.
we smell and pick out which lot numbers we want for what we have contracted. But usually when we're up there, they talk to us about new hops and if we want to get something to do an experimental batch, something that they're trying to push or they're really proud of what they did, some kind of new hop that just has weird
S
combination.
S7193.
Yeah, one of
Exactly.
those.
Yeah, we've been lucky enough over here at a local homebrew shop to get a few of those, just a smattering here and there. And some of our people in the homebrew club have started brewing with them, and it's crazy the things that are coming out, like blueberry and chocolate and all the different
Hops?
melons. And yeah,
How do they make chocolate
it's
hops?
not chocolate in the sense
I'm sorry. Continue.
not chocolate in the sense that you think it is, but yeah, like blueberry and melon and things like that. All the things that are coming out of the hop market.
Thank you. Someone just walked in with our distribution map. They must have
Oh, look
listened
Excellent.
at
to what I
that.
was saying.
That's more than
So,
15 states, man.
Well, the
well, I
yellow
think
ones
some of
are
it's projected.
Oh,
right.
okay. Come on, you need to get Virginia on that list, man.
Oh yeah, you are
Man, we're,
not
we're not even
there.
Slipped
projected.
over
Well,
South
Delaware,
Carolina,
Maryland is
Georgia.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I could always beg Ashley to pick me up some bottles when she's in Charlotte or thereabout.
Yeah.
so yeah, we are active states: California, Arizona, Nevada, Hawaii, Idaho, Michigan, Ohio, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Oregon, and North Carolina.
Okay.
And then we're hoping to get into Alaska, Iowa, Washington, Texas, Connecticut, Wisconsin, hopefully by the end of this year, but maybe into early next year. And then next year, Florida, Montana, Colorado, Kentucky, Maine, Maryland, Minnesota, the Dakotas, New Mexico, and the UK, Beijing, British Columbia, Costa Rica, Panama, Mexico, Japan, and South Korea.
Sound like some long days for you, man.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's incredible growth.
So yeah,
For
things
you.
keep going well. I'll be a busy man.
So, going back to hops real quick, this particular hop that I'm a very big fan of, I know you're not gonna find in the Yakima Valley, but do you guys do anything with Galaxy hops?
We've done a few brews with Galaxy. I like it. We don't have a contract for it, so we
Okay,
buy it. It's nothing that we use in any of our production beers that we release all the time. So we don't have too much of it on hand, but usually it's stuff that we just have in the tap room.
okay. And so taking a step back, talking about your position as a brewmaster, you assumed that role after Jeremy Warren left Knee Deep to do other things. I think there was a lot of speculation when that first happened that there may have been some kind of beef between Jeremy and the other owner, Andrew, I think is his name.
I
Um,
think it was Jerry. Andrew's dad is the other owner.
oh,
Andrew's our
okay.
sales manager, but yeah, Jerry's the other owner. There was no beef. We're expanding. Um, Jeremy was kind of wanting to do a lot more of the barrel aged type beers, and kind of had a different view of where he wanted the company to go. Um, he had opportunity to start his own company. Um, Jerry offered to buy him out, and Jeremy's now starting his own brewery in Sacramento. He's going to concentrate on a lot of IPAs, but also do a lot of barrel aging stuff, whether it's just like spirit barrels or even doing wine barrels, and probably also getting into sours.
Okay, so no beef, just kind of like philosophical differences on direction.
Yeah, and
Okay.
our other owner was the majority owner, and Jeremy just wanted to do something else, and Jeremy wasn't getting any younger. I mean, he's not old, he's not that much older than me,
Right.
but he wanted to do something else, so he decided to go do something else. He's in the area. I still talk to him, still see him. I'm sure I'm going to see him tomorrow at the California Brewers Summit for the CCPA. So.
Well, that's definitely good to hear, man. I mean, you know, we all just need to get along. You know what I mean? And you know, if he's, you guys are still friends, and he's just kind of stepping off to do his own thing because, he wants to do things that maybe Knee Deep wasn't exactly set up for in their long-term plan. I mean, that's totally legit. I think
It's
that
a
makes
conscious
sense.
uncoupling, like Gwyneth Paltrow and her husband. So
The
it's
guy from
okay.
Coldplay.
Exactly.
Awesome. Okay, that's refreshing to hear.
So we can co-parent our kids and everything.
There you go. And
Exactly.
who knows,
So
maybe we have a collaboration brew.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if down the road we would do a collaboration brew. But yeah, I think he was just wanting. We just don't have the room or the capacity to start doing a lot of barrel aging stuff here. Maybe in a few years. I mean, we do have a small barrel aging program. We just actually released in bottles only that you can only buy at the tap room a quadruple IPA that's 13% that we aged in Jack Daniel's barrels. And it came out real nice, but it's only available here in bottles. So I didn't mean to bring that up so that you can't drink it.
That's real dirty, Dean.
Yeah.
A quadruple IPA. I've never heard of anybody else doing a quadruple IPA. So as far as I know, you guys are forging new territory there. Awesome.
Actually, do bottle it a couple times a year, unbarrel aged, and it's usually in that 13% beer, lots of hops. For how strong it is, it's actually pretty easy to drink, which is kind of dangerous.
I'll be sure to give you my address. So like Dogfish Head, for example, Dogfish Head, we all know about 120, ridiculously high ABV beer. But they tend to they definitely balance their hop bitterness out in that beer with a lot of malt because that beer is almost like barley wine-esque.
Right.
Is your quadruple IPA intentionally unbalanced, typical West Coast style?
Yeah, it's balanced, but it's not barley wine-ish.
Okay.
It's more in that big, huge IPA type thing.
Hop juice.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Cool. Well, we're gonna shift gears a little bit, and we're gonna talk about a couple articles that came up in the news this week. One being one I'm sure everybody knows about and probably anticipating us talking about. Ashley, you wanna take that?
Yeah, I guess it's Thursday, and I'm starting to think that a new segment to our show should be the Another One Bites the Dust segment, because we're losing Lagunitas this week. Heineken came in, 50% stake. Tony was incredibly excited about it. From what I read on his Tumblr feed, I don't know
maybe
if
he was
anybody
just drunk.
got to see that, but he says it's a new era for Lagunitas. They're graduating, moving on, growing up, worldwide distribution, huge deal. I can't say I'm happy about it, but I'm, hey, at least he got to do what he wanted to do.
Yeah. Ashley, I don't know how old Tony is, but he's older than me, clearly. But I think there gets there comes a time when you're a brewer where you start thinking long term, and obviously the one of the I don't want to say the American dream, but the way to do it in America is you do something, you strike it big and sell it, make a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
money, and you do your thing. I think personally, I think the craft beer industry has a lot of major players who could be viable buyers to a business other than BMC, Miller Coors, well, the whole BMC, the whole
Yeah.
gang. I mean, I think there's opportunity for sale outside of those guys. I mean,
Right.
but what do I know?
I can't blame him for wanting an exit strategy, and
Yeah,
I think he's 55 years old according to this article.
but
So
here's I mean, let me try to be politically correct here. Like when Elysian sold, Tony was not a fan of that sale happening,
yeah, that was quite a bit of drama surrounding that on Twitter.
and I'll leave it at that.
Maybe he was envious. He was like, no one wants to buy me.
So this seems to be a trend. I mean, when Elysian sold, I don't think anybody saw that coming. Even when 10 Barrel sold, nobody saw that coming. I mean, because you got BMC. These people tend to have more money than God, and they're going after Blue Point. They're going after 10 Barrel. They're going after Elysian, and then boom, they go after Lagunitas. And I think personally that one kind of hurt because like I didn't see that coming at all. I mean, that wasn't even
No.
anywhere on the radar because the trend up until that point had been these guys buying small breweries. Or I mean, I don't want to make it sound as if this was a total takeover of Lagunitas, but they only got 50%. So let's make that clear.
Yeah,
Um,
didn't it say in this article that they are the sixth largest craft brewery in America?
right, and probably nobody prior to that point, nobody in I don't know the top 20 had ever been bought out.
Well, Goose Island was, well, it wasn't that large. It wasn't like Anita's large.
I mean, well, but that was also like in what 2000 and
11, they were the first ones, really,
so and
sort
so
of.
on the heels of that. And Dean, I'm gonna get your opinion on this in just a second.
All
B-
right.
but I think on the heels, Lola's article kind of goes right in to this same topic, and then I want to get your opinion on the whole thing at large, Dean. So Lola, take it away.
And this article says the phrase that makes me shiver. Miller Coors. Just just makes me just cringe and just go back. Um, this is a small brewery called St. Archer. I'm not familiar with them. Have y'all heard of them?
I
Yeah,
have,
Yes,
they're a small West Coast brewery.
right.
yeah, they're in Southern California.
Yeah, so this says they're out of San Diego. This is going to happen soon. It's supposed to happen in October. I mean, it's going to be done, finished in October. The financial terms weren't disclosed. And this is a young brewery, too. They only launched 2 years ago. They're at 35,000 barrels this year. So I guess Miller Coors thought this is the time to pounce. They're not big, they're manageable, and we don't know the financial terms, but maybe it wasn't too expensive.
And for what it's, I think it's worth mentioning that so there's like a Miller Coors I don't want to say subsidiary, but they have an arm.
10th
I
and
guess
Blake.
yeah, 10th and Blake. That's like their craft beer arm.
It's their
So
front.
yeah,
That's what it is. It's a fronting
exactly,
company. That's all.
absolutely. And they're the ones who bought St. Archer, and also 10th and Blake also has a 25% share ownership.
My Terrapin.
Terrapin out of Athens. So
Yeah.
I thought it
um,
was 24 and a half.
Well, this article says 25, but I guess they rounded.
24 and a half.
Well, because I think they
25.
still count as craft beer, and it's 25% craft, and
What's the definition for craft beer? They can't have more than what percentage owned by?
25%.
Oh, is it 24 and a half? So did they really
But
only?
they don't actually tell you how much it is. If you read the articles, they'll say it's not anywhere near 25%, but I've heard from other people that it's pretty close. So
Okay.
So That said, with Lagunitas being, they didn't get bought out. They only sold 50% of themselves to Heineken. Um, 10th and Blake or Miller Coors grabbing up St. Archer's. I know Ashley feels like we're gonna have a lot more surprises coming between now and the end of 2015, just because of the way trends have been going.
Yeah.
Dean, I'd like to get your perspective on this. I mean, first, I guess if you want to speak about the Lagunitas deal, and then St. Archer, and then overall. I mean, however, just bless us with your thoughts.
Um, well, we're growing, but we're not selling out.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it. I mean, we're a small company, and we like being a small company. I mean, we're like a family, and I kind of think that all the craft breweries should kind of be a family. And I mean, I was pretty surprised hearing about the St. Archer thing because I mean, they are small. They're down in San Diego. I like that brewery. I believe that they have already a bunch of investors, so I don't know if it was like a smaller brewery that only had a couple people running it and owners. I think that that decision was probably made because of all the ownership that was in it and investors. They probably had something to do with that. Um, Lagunitas, I was surprised by it. I mean, they're a big brewery, and I think that they were about to start breaking ground on another brewery in Southern California too, and they just
Yeah.
opened one up in
Was it
Chicago. So it's
Azuka, California, or something like that?
yeah, something like that. So I don't. Maybe they needed more funding to get that other thing going, but he was claiming international,
Hmm.
which maybe it's just. But I don't know. I know that I've met him only a couple times, but Tony's kind of out there,
Hmm.
and he's the sole owner. Um, he doesn't have kids, and I think I've read that in the article too. That I mean, it's not like Sierra Nevada where Brian, Ken's son, basically runs I think the North Carolina brewery for Sierra Nevada, and Ken has family that he's going to keep the company in. I mean,
Yeah.
I
I see
can't
what you're
really
saying.
blame Tony for doing it because he is getting older and probably doesn't want to work as much and knows what he's built. But Lagunitas was kind of at the beginning the people that were like very independent, very giving the man the finger
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
all the stuff that they do, and so it is kind of weird.
Yeah, that's what hurts the most is because I mean, like I kind of view Lagunitas as being one of the stalwarts as it relates to craft beer. I mean, there were definitely pro craft beer, and
Yeah,
then this happens, and I feel like, you know what I mean?
We're
feel a little
betrayed.
feel a little betrayed, feel a little hurt. But the good thing is, if there is a good thing out of this, we have Lagunitas on the show in 3 weeks.
so you can
So we
get some
can talk
insight
to
on that.
we can get some insight on that and talk to them about it and see what the 411 is. So yeah,
They'll probably say no comment. It'll be a short show. No
maybe.
comment. Ooh.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who's going to be on the show. If it's Tony, I doubt that it's going to be no comment. But
Okay.
we should be so lucky to have Tony on the show.
That would be awesome.
So I'm going to go ahead real quick talk about beer releases. Right, we have Stone Stochasticity, Your Father Smelt of Elderberries, was released earlier this week. That's a 8.8% ABV amber ale with elderberries. I feel like they had another beer before with elderberries in it. Hmm. Oh
Yeah,
well.
there's a few on the market.
Um,
I want to see that bottle. I want to see how they get that whole title on that bottle.
Your Father Smelt of Elderberries.
Is it like all just like down the side or something?
Now they do rap text.
Okay.
That's
People are like, what's the name of this beer? They're turning it around.
Upslope. They're releasing their pumpkin ale that it was released today. last week, actually, and I just thought it was worth mentioning that Terrapin and Cigar City, they released Vaporcot, which is a 9% ABV ginger imperial IPA. I brewed a ginger and lemongrass IPA, but I missed my numbers, so it's a session ginger and lemongrass IPA. Full Sail just put out their fresh hop pilsner. Speakeasy, they're coming back with their payback. They're coming back. They have their payback pumpkin pie porter that's going to be released tomorrow. Nankasi's Imperial Pumpkin Slayer was released last week. Dewclaw up here out of Maryland in the Mid-Atlantic region, their Pumpkin Spice Lager 31 and Imperial Pumpkin 62 were released on September 1st. Up in kinda sorta in the Ashes area, Creature Comforts out of Georgia, they're on the 12th, which is Saturday. They're releasing See the Stars, and I want this beer so bad. It's a 13% maple bourbon barrel aged imperial stout.
Wow.
They were able to get Willet bourbon barrels. They sent some up to Max Maple Syrup Farm in New Hampshire, and they put maple syrup in the bourbon barrels, and then after 4 months, they took the maple syrup out, sent the barrels back down to Creature Comforts, and then they put an imperial stout into the barrel, a la CBS, right? Kind of sort of CBS-esque, but I've had one beer, thanks to Ashley, from Creature Comforts, and it was a Berliner Weiss. It was incredible, and I would Ashley, hi.
Remember your friend Randy.
I'm working on it.
And then last one we have here is Orpheus. They're
Atlanta.
releasing, huh?
Atlanta, Georgia. I just went there. I actually was at this release that you're about to talk about.
That's so
Oh, that's where they are, out of Atlanta.
Yep.
Okay, so that makes sense because this was just released on the 3rd, so that's why you were there. It's there, and actually, I'm gonna say this wrong, so please spare me the embarrassment and go ahead and say it. It's barrel aged.
Oh, I lost the page. There we go.
Psychophanties.
Psychophantus. Fantius.
It's a 9.5% fig sour ale brewed with candy sugar and aged in cognac barrels.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. It essentially kind of tastes like a dark Belgian ale with a little bit of acidity to it, and then you get that fig on the back end, and then the cognac really, really mellows it out. It's awesome.
That's how we rolled on the East Coast, Dean.
We do it. Yeah, we know what we're doing. We can brew.
We got the brewery down here. They do all kinds of crazy stuff like that.
That's true.
You say that. I don't know if I believe you.
No, it's true. Festival-wise, on the 12th, which is Saturday, we have the Annapolis Craft Beer and Music Festival. That's going to be up in Annapolis, Maryland. Up in Washington, D.C. on Saturday as well, we have Snallygaster. I'll be at that festival. Went last year. It was a fantastic time. Valley Center, California, just northeast of San Diego, at Harrah's on the 26th. They're having their Hop Heads and Dreads Festival. So I imagine there's going to be a lot of reggae music playing there. Breckenridge Oktoberfest is going on in Breckenridge, Colorado on September 11th through the 13th, so tomorrow through Sunday. The 6th annual OC Brouhaha is in Silverado, California. That's going on Saturday. Brooklyn Sourfest. This is going to be a lot of sour beer because they're going from September 11th all the way to September 20th. So, I mean, they should call it Brooklyn Sour Beer Week. I don't know, but everybody is going to be craving a session lager after that week, man. I don't know, a whole week of sours, that's a lot.
Or just a lot of tubs.
That too, absolutely. Heavy Seas Bacon and Beer Festival. That's going on in Baltimore, Maryland on Saturday as well. Figtoberfest. That's in Buellton, California, September 12th. That's at Figaro Mountain Brewing Company. I've had a couple of their beers. They were actually quite splendid. Septemberfest, Corvallis Craft Beer Week in Corvallis, Oregon. September 12th. God, September 12th is the day of craft beer festivals, apparently. Cola Town Oktoberfest at River Rat Brewery in Columbia, South Carolina. That's coming up on September 19th. I wonder who put that on the list. Brewgrass up in Asheville, North Carolina, one of the best craft beer cities in this country, especially the most notable one on the East Coast. That's coming up on September 19th. Flowertown Funky Firkin Fest. Say that one time fast. It's a part of Charleston Craft Beer Week. That's going to be down in Charleston, South Carolina. Wonder who added that to the list. September 19th. And GABFA. What does that stand for? Something like something beer. Just kidding. Great American Beer Festival, September 24th to the 26th in Denver, Colorado. So, Dean, do you guys have any new releases coming up on the horizon here that you would like to mention?
We have a bunch of local stuff that comes out, but we're going to be at the California Craft Beer Summit and California Craft Brewer Showcase tomorrow and Saturday in Sacramento at the Sacramento Convention Center.
Cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of California breweries, Firestone, Brewery. I'm excited to taste all their beers. Tomorrow night it's supposed to be rare beer pouring, and then Saturday is kind of just a big fest. So.
But wait, when do you leave to go to Yakima Valley?
Sunday.
Okay.
I think the flight is at 11 because I have an appointment 8:30 on Monday to go smell hops.
You're going to be hungover on that plane, sir.
Maybe a little bit.
So if you're in Sacramento this weekend, go to the California Craft Beer Summit. Seek Dean out. Tell him you saw him on Craft Beer Nation's Pints and Quarts. There's guaranteed to be some awesome beer flowing there. So it will not be a disappointment. I've never even been. I've never even heard of it. And I already know that it won't be a disappointment. So go. If you're in Sacramento, go. So anyway, Dean, thank you, man. Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time, telling us a little bit about Knee Deep, where you guys are going, where you've been, how you got started. We appreciate you joining us here on Pints and Quarts, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And yeah, just look for us in all those states I read off like 20 minutes ago. About hopefully next couple of years we'll be everywhere. And maybe I can get some out to Virginia at some point.
Please do. Please do. So be sure to join us next week, everybody. We're going to have Yards Brewing out of Philly. They're going to be joining us next week. So until then, find some good friends, drink some great craft beer, and mind those P's and Q's.